Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Midgar. We are here, and I'm not going to talk about Final Fantasy VII. I know that some of you probably love that game. I'm here to talk about the Furry Fandom, as you probably have read in the title. I'm going to tell you my experience with starting off in the Furry Fandom. Back in 1999 is when I found it for the first time, and before I get into that, though, let's just talk about the beginning, you guys. Let's talk about the beginning, the real beginning. The real beginning is when you're a kid, right? So if you're growing up in the 70s, I was born in 1982. I grew up in the 80s, and mostly the 90s was in the teenage years, but the 80s were my very young years. A lot of people have that question. How does somebody become a furry? I will try to explain it to you. A lot of kids that grew up in the 80s, even the 70s, we grew up with Disney, you know? There's a lot of things that babysit us as kids, right? TV, movies. Let's just name a few starting off real quick. Scooby Doo, All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Land Before Time, Looney Tunes, practically 90% of Disney movies. You got Heathcliff, you got Garfield, you got Snoopy. I mean, they're all just, there's all these, I guess they used to call them funny animal tunes, anthropomorphic cartoon characters that can either walk on two legs or maybe they walk on four legs, but the thing is they can talk. And when they can talk, you can establish a relationship with these characters in terms of, everybody has a character they fall in love with. It doesn't even have to be anthro, you guys. Some people, Final Fantasy, some people love Cloud, some people love Aerith, some people love Locke, Shadow, Kefka, all these characters. If you don't have some kind of character that you like from some piece of fiction or comic book, then I don't know what's going on with you, because, probably 90% of nerds are watching this right now. So all it is another genre of characters that people love. They just happen to be animals. So think about this. I'm growing up around all this stuff. Teddy Ruxpin. There's a lot of different kinds of characters, right? And then it just sticks. You're like, hey, I love these animal creatures. They're floofy, they're cuddly. It's a cool thing. So that's how it kind of begins, right? You don't know you're a furry when you're a kid. You just know you like these things. When you see it, you like it. That's just the way you're wired. 1999 rolls around. I finally get the internet. I find the art. There's a lot of furry art out there. And then plus there's the AOL chat rooms. There was AOL chat rooms back then. You go into these chat rooms and there's things like Anthro Forest Lake and Anthro Bar. And then I'm like, holy shit, there's actually, when you find all this stuff for the first time, you're like, holy shit, there's actually people that like the same things I do. I thought I was weird. You grow up thinking you're kind of weird and you're the only one that likes these things. Whatever. And here's the thing, you guys, before I go any further, yes, there is a weird part of the fandom. Yes, there is a sexual side to the fandom. Yes, there's all kinds of subgenres in the furry fandom. Some are a little bit weirder than others. Some are a little bit weird to me, but I'm weird too. Yes, there's psychotic people in the fandom. Yes, there's weirdos in the fandom. Yes, there's people I don't even really like in the fandom, but that's just with anything. Look at this world we live in. There's all kinds of weirdos and psychotics, and it's just about picking and choosing the right kind of people that you want to hang out with, all right? People join the fandom for various reasons. Some people just like cartoons and art. Some people like to animate these characters. Some people just like hanging out with other people that like this stuff. There's all kinds of stuff going on inside the fandom. You can't really ball it up into one definition. The furry fandom is so vast, full of all kinds of different people. Some people think they're actually animals inside their body, that they just have a human exterior. That's not me. But, the furry fandom is a very vast thing. For me personally, all it is I like talking animals. That's as far as it extends, and I love performing in fursuits and character costumes. I used to work at Universal Studios. My thing is I love putting on a character and pushing the illusion to people that I can now become this big bouncy creature, this live cartoon character. Hold on, let's back up for a second. I thought it was just the art and AOL chats, and that was it, right? I didn't know there was any more to that. Then I found out there were the conventions. People actually, some people, not everybody, you guys, but some people dress up in full fursuit and go to these conventions, and they like to perform, and they like to entertain, and they like the attention, and it's fun to make people happy. That was my thing. I loved putting on the suits, providing an illusion, making people happy, and it was really cool. Long story short, I ended up working at Universal Studios, and I got to play characters such as the Grinch, Cat in the Hat, Scooby Doo, Bullwinkle, Alex the Lion, and many more. Outside of that, I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. I've probably been over 40 or 50 different characters, both in the fandom and outside of the fandom in the professional world. My thing that drives my energy, you guys, is performing in costume, performing in a fursuit, putting it on. You just like acting. But for those of you that perform and for those of you that act, you put it on and you believe that you're the character. The more you believe and the more you feel, because when you put the costume on, obviously you got the weight of the costume on your body. You feel you're restricted, your dexterity is lowered. So you have to raise your energy up to push this character's, the way it moves, the way this character moves, Alex the Lion does this whole number right here, and it's amazing becoming a character and going out and dancing to music. And yes, it's painful. It is painful. It's uncomfortable. It's hot. You're sweaty. The costume's heavy and it's probably uncomfortable. But you know what? You put that in the back of your mind and you're going out and you're just doing it. You're letting all your energy out and it makes people happy and it makes you happy, and you're not worrying about all the sweat and the pain and all that shit. You put that in the back and you're just absorbed in your character. That is what drove me, right? That's my drug in the fandom, is putting on a suit and performing for people. I love it. It never gets old for me. Going to cons and meeting people and meeting other performers and other suitors and collabing with them, and just going downstairs in the con area with 3 or 4 people and just bouncing around and having a good old time, taking pictures. The thing with the fandom, you guys, is it has a lot of negative connotations with it, right? There's the sexual side. You're going to have a sexual side with any kind of fucking fandom. It's just going to happen. But you got to realize how vast this whole thing is. Yeah, there's weirdos out there that they talk or they do something, they do something around you or your friends, and it's like, okay, you stay over there and we're going to go over here. There's psychos everywhere. And you just have to pick and choose who you're going to hang out with, just like in real life. It's just, the only difference is that we like talking and walking animals. Literally, that's all it is. So the thing with the fandom is that I found going to my first convention, you guys, when I went, it was a very emotional thing for me. This was my first convention in Philadelphia, Anthrocon 2002. When I went, the thing that you find out in the fandom is that everybody is very open-minded, for the most part, non-judgmental. Nobody is going to harass you for how you are or how you act or your little quirks or whatever. Usually people are very accepting of that. And then along with the whole walking, talking animal thing, everybody's adorable. And it's a really cool thing, man. So I left that convention very emotional. I was like, holy crap, I found my peeps. So I don't understand, once you've gone to a convention and you get to meet really open and cool people, it's hard to kind of fathom why people are so negative against furries. There's nothing wrong with furries, you guys. I mean, Jesus. So that's about it, though, y'all. I went to my con and I went to my first con and it was history after that. I've been to a few cons after that. And I've gotten involved. I learned how to do graphic arts because of the furry fandom, because I started coloring people's arts. Like, the fandom has been a major part of my life. I wouldn't be in Florida right now if it wasn't for the furry fandom. I'd probably still be in North Carolina with a dead-end job and, you know, like fucking doing the college courses that I didn't really want to do, you know, back in the day. And pretty much that's the big overview. That's the quick and easy overview of how I got into the fandom. It's just a really fun group of people to be around. Good people, good drinking buddies, good talks, good adventures, you know. And then there's a lot of furries right here in VR chat. So if you're interested, just fucking come in here and you'll see for yourself, you guys. VR chat is a really good simulation of what a furry con would be like. If you come in on the days where there's a lot of furries in here, come in, get your VR headset. You don't even need a VR headset, you guys. Just fucking come in without a VR headset, hang around with some furs. You'll see it's not so bad. We're just like everybody else, you guys. I don't get why there's so much drama around the fandom. There shouldn't be. There honestly shouldn't be. So anyway, you guys, that's all I have to say. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for hanging out and watching this video. And again, we're playing Final Fantasy VII over on Twitch. Head over to the channel, give it a follow, and go on the adventure with us. That said, bye-bye. 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 So let's take in this view while we're over here, right? Isn't that a beautiful fucking view, though? Holy crap.